Hi, we're here in front of Brantford Collegiate Institute, where we're going to do the first ever screening of Poor No More for a high school audience. We're very excited. We have some local politicians, we have some teachers, and we have over 200 students who are about to learn the differences between our system and some of the systems in Europe. Come with us. Okay, so hello BCI.
Breast cancer and had to have time off. And just to make ends meet, I had to do it. I had to take my chemo treatments, all my doctor's appointments. I worked everything into my lunch hours, my days off, with bills, but someday I'll be able to be there for them as well.
So what'd you think of the film?
It was really interesting. Yeah.
A lot of good ideas.
I didn't know about
It brought up a lot
of stuff. Yeah, a lot of things that we didn't previously know about.
What was the benefit of having the screening here?
Well, we talk a lot about in our economics classes and our law classes about social justice. And it's nice to see an alternative view presented so that students can see something different than the textbook tells you.
Would you recommend the film to anyone?
Yes, I'd recommend people to watch it just to see what's actually happening.
So what would you like to see happen?
Well, lots of change in the government, obviously, political views.
A lot of points in it that definitely need to be talked about on a much higher level, and a lot of stuff that obviously needs to get sorted out.
Why might schools want to show this movie?
Well, I think because it resonates with students. When you start talking about minimum wages and you start talking about free university tuition, then you're talking the language of students. You know? That's their biggest concern right now. And also, it speaks to the issues that are confronting their parents. I mean, the parents are working hard and still can't make ends meet. I was really amazed at the positive reaction of the students. I wasn't sure how they were going to respond, but I think the film resonated with this community, where teachers are telling me that even though the community, like downtown, looks good, the students are still having trouble. Their parents are still in trouble. They cannot, for instance, they can't even print the materials that they get because the parents can't afford ink for their inkjet printers. It gives you an idea. It's one small indication that things aren't so rosy in Brantford.
And do you think a movie like this is going to be able to have an effect where youth and adults are able to talk about different ways to go about things?
Oh, I think so, because the students see that there's alternatives, and that's what they need to hear. Not just, you know, so often when they hear about poverty, they hear about charity and so on, but this shows that things could be different. In other countries it is different, it could be here too.
And I knew that if an organization that was part of the Ontario government could not have known that one of their, and she's a dedicated employee, she loves the oh sir, don't push me. Oh.
Years after that, trying to find ways to keep body and soul together and look after herself while fighting workers' compensation to get what she was going to do. That's just one story of the thousands of stories that I heard across this province.
There just never seems to be enough. Never enough for the people who need it the most.
Behind us right now, we're screening Poor No More, the documentary, to about 80 to 100 people in Brantford, Ontario. We're at a church, Sydenham United Church. This was a really easy event to set up, and it was really helpful. Already we've had discussion. We've had discussion with youth, we've had discussion with seniors, we've had discussion with a wide breadth of people. And it's such a great documentary. Right now, you can see people, and they're astonished by what's happening in there. I'm going to go back to it, but I just want to stress before I do that this is a really simple and easy way to get people to talk about this issue. And we need to start talking about it. We need to start pushing people on the issues that are presented in this. And the best way to do it is to create engagement. Think outside the box. Maybe consider a Poor No More documentary screening in your neighborhood. Why do you think screenings like this are important across the country?
Well, first of all, it's bringing people out. I mean, you've got a full house here tonight. That's impressive. You know, and they're here to listen, to see, and try to understand the issue of poverty. This is a great vehicle, Poor No More.
Now, when you screen this movie and you're riding and you've screened it across the country, what are the discussions like? What do people bring up after watching this?
Well, you know, many of them don't understand where all this poverty has come from. You know, they don't connect the dots. We saw a huge increase in both the breadth and the depth of poverty in this country, and that now municipalities and church groups like the one that's here tonight, trying to figure out a way to themselves deal with poverty, are finding that they just don't have the resources. It's such a big problem that they need to be motivated. They need to be engaged, and screenings of the movie Poor No More provides that catalyst, that opportunity to in fact do that.
What's the one thing you hope people take away from this movie?
That government can make a difference, that poverty doesn't need to be, it's not a fait accompli, it's not something that you can't do anything about, that in fact you can. It's been done other places. We used to do better at it in Canada, and we can do better again. Are finding out that they don't have the resources, and that the system of programs that are out there are...
I think one of the discussions it creates is it starts to ask people to imagine a world different than the one that we have right now, and a world not really that far away. Everyone had a chance to take something away from it.
I thought it was wonderful. We should show it everywhere, as often as we can.
And yeah, it was actually really good. There's a lot more that I kind of want to know, so I'm going to be researching that.
It's great to have a film that's starting to address what's going on with poverty, the working poor, the middle class, and all forms of poverty.
Well, like any good documentary, it should make you feel something. It makes you feel something, so that's what every documentary should do, if nothing else, is make you feel, because you're not going to act if you don't feel. So.
And it was fascinating to see what they're doing in Sweden, especially, how you can be a democratic society who's working for all the people and not just for the people that are the heads of the corporation. And I sure wish we could stress jobs here in Canada and not just the profits of the company that don't filter down to the hard workers.
So the exciting thing here was to see that people, instead of being at home watching a reality show that has nothing to do with reality, they were here tonight trying to change and impact the reality of our future.
Thank you guys, thanks very much.
And why should people screen this movie?
Oh, well, it was made as a bit of agitprop, as a way to bring people together to talk about the issues, right? And that's exactly what it does. And I think that it should be, I think in Ontario now it's going to be shown in all Catholic schools because the Catholic teachers asked for it. But I think it should be shown in all schools. It should be part of the curriculum. Somebody else said they were showing it in business schools, that would be a great, just to show that it isn't just all free markets, that there are other notions in the world. And so that would be good. And a lady in the Arctic said you should show it to college students while they're still poor, and then they still have a heart for it.
What do you hope people take away? What do you hope audiences take away from this film?
Well, that it isn't impossible, that it's very hopeful that things can be different than they are. We're not calling for a revolution. We keep on, they can have great profits still, but why do the people at the bottom have to suffer so much? That's it. It's like the Air Canada seats. It's like when you're flying in first class, you can put your feet right out and they don't even touch the other thing. And they could just take 2 inches off there, and then other people would be able to get their knees in their seats, I mean, it's not like you don't want the first class crowd to suffer at all, but there's still about this much room where they can't even get their feet to go. So, put that little bit of that back in steerage.